Christine Faulkner with Cava Faulkner, Elk Grove Living Trust lawyer, Sacramento estate attorney. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Daily with Christine. Today we're going to talk about why communication is so important in your estate planning and how everything can actually fall apart if you don't have good communication. So whether you've created a estate plan or you're thinking you might need one, this video is for you because we're going to talk about in this video some of the really sad things that can happen when you don't communicate with your family about your planning. So let's get started. So imagine you have worked really hard within your own family to have harmony. Keep the peace. Everybody's getting along. Everybody really likes one another. And that can be a hard thing within a family. As we all know, family dynamics can be complicated. So as you have gone through life, you've taken care to make sure that everybody gets along as well as possible. There's always that sibling rivalry between maybe you and your siblings or your kids and their siblings. But it's so great to know in your heart that everyone likes one another, everyone trusts one another, everyone gets along. So I'm going to tell you a story about what happened in my own family and how even though there was an estate plan, things broke apart, never to be repaired, and how you can avoid this in your own family. So my grandfather passed away in 2002, and he had an estate plan. He had a will and a trust, and he had been married. So he had a joint trust with his spouse who died before him, and everything in the plan rolled over to him. So when he passed away, I was with my mom, my sister, and my aunt, literally at the funeral home in Colorado, making funeral arrangements when his wife's daughter came in and basically took a bunch of valuable property without asking, without having a discussion, and basically just took it. And so the sad thing is that the family took sides. Two of the kids, sided, well, one kid sided with her, the other two didn't. And unfortunately, what ended up happening was a really sad thing. The siblings and half-siblings never spoke again. And I'm certain that my grandfather and his wife would not have anticipated that nor wanted that. And frankly, probably didn't expect that or even see it coming when they created a estate plan. Because after all, you create an estate plan to keep the harmony, to keep the peace, and to make things easy and straightforward. Everything's supposed to be laid out in the plan. And so, believe it or not, some of the most contentious issues that come up after somebody passes away is not over the money, but it's over personal property. Because you probably, if you think about it in your own life, you can probably relate to those sentimental things that mean so much to you and are tied to them really, really great memories with your family, with your parents, with your siblings. And that can cause people to kind of get unreasonable with one another. And so how would it be? How would it feel for you to know that you had taken the time and spent the money to create a plan and realize that your kids are going to be fighting with one another over who gets what? Because you and your spouse are now gone. And so there's no intermediary anymore, right? Between the siblings or maybe your children. So it's such a sad thing. And when I witnessed it in my own family, it was really painful. And, my mom passed away in 2013 and they never mended their fences. And it was a really hard thing to watch, very sad for me to watch this fragmented, fracturing in my own family. And I realized that, it happens to other people. And it's hard enough when you lose people that you love, and then to be bickering amongst yourselves and angry and, upset makes it really difficult. And I bet you would not want to think of either that happening to you in your own family with your siblings, that if your parents passed away, that you're going to be fighting and they're going to be pointing the finger at you, or vice versa. You feel that you've been treated unfairly or maybe didn't know something. And I'm guessing for sure that you didn't work so hard in your life to make sure that everybody felt good about one another, keeping the peace with your children. I bet it would be hugely painful, a pain in your heart to think that your kids might be at each other's throats after you're gone. So one of the things that is so important is communicating with people, letting them know what is going on. And sometimes, sadly, you don't have those kinds of dynamics in your family. But if you do, if you create a plan and you trust the people that are part of your planning, as in your spouse and your kids, probably a good time to talk about it. Maybe not right when you create the plan, but a good time to kind of let them know what is going on. And especially when it comes to personal property, I'm a huge advocate for talking to people and asking them, is there anything of that I own, my personal things that you would want? And let's have a discussion about it now. So after I'm gone, you're not fighting over the same thing. Let's resolve it now so that you can all love each other still and be close and be good friends and good siblings with one another. So let's get that solved now. There's also ways to, when it comes to personal property, to give specific items of personal property to people and make sure that they receive what you want them to have. And honestly, I know sometimes your family is not the kind of family where you can have these discussions, but I'm really going to encourage you, even if it's difficult, bite the bullet and sit back and let it sink in that if you don't have that discussion now, your kids really could end up disliking one another intensely, pointing the finger at one another, or even hating one another and never talking to one another. So ask yourself, is it more painful for me to endure some bickering now if we can get this resolved and reach a resolution? Or how does it feel to think that everything could fall apart after I'm gone? That also includes, who your decision makers are. Sometimes you decide who you want to be trustees, executors, agents, and maybe you have a change of heart and people, your adult children expect one thing. And if you don't tell them that you've changed their plan, after you pass away, if they don't know, they have a certain expectation. And so, for example, if you originally named a couple of your kids trustee and then later had a change of heart and changed that, but you didn't bother to tell them, and you named one of your other children the new trustee or a sibling of yours, that can generate a lot of anger and mistrust of that person who's now stepping into that role without a forewarning. You can probably understand how that might feel. So once again, if you can communicate with your decision makers, with the people who are going to be receiving your assets about not only what to expect, but when it comes to personal property, what they might like to have, it'll give you an opportunity to proactively problem solve if you have people who want the same thing. Because if you are gone, then your trustee is going to have to weed through that thorny situation, which, believe it or not, like I said, when it comes to personal property, it can be really, really thorny and painful. So think about this. Think about what you could do if you have already created a plan to better communicate what you've done with your family, and also maybe have those conversations. Tell your kids you want to sit down and talk to them about your planning and your belief that it's so important that everybody be on the same page, and that you want to ask them right here and now if they have specific items of personal property that they'd like to have. You'd like them to think about that and communicate it so that you can all talk about it as a family. And then if you do have a couple of kids who want the same thing, or maybe some siblings, you can proactively problem solve that now, so everybody will love one another after you're gone. So important. That's why people plan. It is because they love people so much and they want things to be good after they're gone. So little food for thought. Thanks for tuning in to The Daily with Christine. Subscribe to our channel if you like our content, like our videos, and let us know what you'd like to hear about. If you haven't done any planning, or maybe it's been a while since you've had somebody look at your planning, I know that we can help you in a very powerful way, either to review what you have and help you to clearly understand what you have, or help you get started through some education about what you might need to best protect the people you love the most in your life. So give us a jingle, shoot us an email, let us know how we can help. That's what we're here for. Take care. Bye-bye.